Hey, what's up guys? Rob here with Aloha Android. And before I kickstart off my little video for today, I just want to stop and say Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful moms in the world. Going forward, basically in this video today, I'm going to be discussing, ranting a little bit about how we judge our smartphones. And yeah, so let's go. So as I said in the opening title, basically I'm going to be discussing about how we judge our smartphones and kind of determine a little bit about, where we're kind of going a little bit too far when it comes to picking Android devices. So I have, in my mind, came up with several things that I feel that are not necessities to the smartphones that we have duped ourselves into feeling that we have to have it on an Android smartphone. The biggest one is NFC. Now, NFC, or near field communication, basically is one of the fastest ways to actually sharing data between multiple smartphones. Just having an NFC chip in the back of the phone and being able to tap to send, pictures, or even using it as a setup method to port over all the apps that you currently have on your current smartphone over to a new smartphone. It makes things a lot easier. It's in a way, kind of makes you a little lazy just doing that. But near field communication goes a little bit beyond than just sharing data between two smartphones. It actually is also used for tap to pay. Tap to pay is something that's becoming more popular in the world. Different markets and stores and businesses are starting to adopt this form of payment. And really what it is you're taking your Android smartphone with the NFC chip in the back and having like either Android Pay, or if you have a Samsung device, you have Samsung Pay. But basically you link up your bank account with your smartphone and you just tap and it will then pretty much accept a payment, just like if you were to swipe a debit card. Now, this feature isn't totally new. This feature has actually been around in Japan for quite some time. In Japan, their smartphones is pretty much their debit cards and everything else. So they've used it to make payments for the longest time. But here in America, we've actually adopted this a couple years ago, and it's something that's just slowly and gradually booming. But more people feel like that they have to have NFC on their device in order for it to be considered a good smartphone. And one of the biggest things that I disagree with that is there's tons of people who want NFC and don't ever really use it. On a day-to-day basis that I walk around in my city and I see people interact with their smartphones and how they interact with life itself using their smartphones, and maybe 2 or 3 people out of 30 days do I ever catch using tap to pay. Majority people tend to use their debit cards, or if not that, the simplest method ever, cash. The next thing I want to focus on is the biometric readers found on some of the high flagship devices out there. Now, this is a pretty neat security feature, obviously using your fingerprint to unlock your device. A lot of people found this, to be a more safer method as far as keeping their smartphones protected. Of course, people have gone into this whole theory, just like in any other espionage movie, where you can bond someone's fingerprint to a glove and be able to unlock the device. And no one's really actually made a demoing video showing that. However, biometric reading is pretty much top notch and is getting better and better these days with smartphones. But the thing is that it's not an absolute necessity to have to be, to have a smartphone considered being great. There have always been ways to secure your device via using a PIN password, or even a pattern password, basically, which are some of the the forms that sure, they may not be 100% guaranteed secure, but they're over 50% in that field. So using a pattern is probably one of the best ones out there, because people have gone creative on creating patterns that you have to swipe on a grid of dots to basically get your phone unlocked. PIN, however, is just like any other PIN, like a debit card PIN. Basically, people, tend to use something that's pretty personal to them, but others can eventually figure out. Passwords, same thing too. Some people like to use some of the most common things personal to them that could eventually be figured out as the password to their smartphone. So people feel like biometric reading is like the perfect security feature, but it's actually not. It is great in every way, but again, before biometric reading came out, it wasn't like our smartphones were very vulnerable. We had other different methods of actually locking our phone, and The only reason that I feel that people generally feel like that biometric reading is something that is a necessity on a smartphone is basically, no offense to the world, but technology is making us even more and more lazier than what we used to be. Taking the time to actually swipe your finger across the screen hardly takes anything. It doesn't really burn a lot of calories. People find that to be overwork compared to just tapping your finger and unlocking the phone. Another feature that you'll find in smartphones that's actually been kind of cool is having an IR blaster, basically using your smartphone as your TV, DVD remote control. Now, again, that this is something that's technically to me is just a feature for gimmick and not actually a necessity. And some people will be like, well, you'll need it to send commands to your TV to increase the volume or change the channel or whatever, whatnot. And true, while it makes it easier because everyone does hold their smartphones in their hands nearly 80% of the time of the day. Again, like I said, this is a feature that is not necessary at all whatsoever to basically consider an Android smartphone to be great. It is nice to have. I admit that, and again, it makes things easier. So easier is another, word for lazy. Rather than having to get up and have, command over like two or three remote controls, easier to have it all in just your smartphone, which you're also obviously looking through Facebook and other social media at the same time, and then adjusting the volume or changing the channel on your TV. But people tend to think that, without an IR blaster, it make or breaks the phone. And it actually does not. Because, again, your smartphone is intended as what it is, a microcomputer. Basically for you to search up internet, watch cute little kitten videos on YouTube, and then order some stuff that you want to buy without leaving your house. Really, that's what your smartphone is for. Since most people don't really do phone calls anymore, and most people rely on text messaging, and even not text messaging anymore, but actually relying on IM chats and things like that to actually communicate with one another. So really, that's what your smartphone is, a microcomputer. And while it is nice to have it as a remote control to control your TV, it's not a necessity. And I feel sometimes people, give a bad review on the phone based on the fact that it doesn't have an IR blaster, so they can't easily adjust their channels or volume on their TV. It's one of those things where I just feel it's like, wow, you could just simply grab your TV remote to replace that. So all in all, those three things are some of the things that I feel that people, when they judge a smartphone, they kind of look towards to see if a smartphone has. And generally, those things aren't necessities. Those things shouldn't even be included in someone's judgment over a smartphone, basically if it's bad or good. So that's it for Sunday's video. If you guys enjoyed this video, you guys can let me know that by leaving me that thumbs up. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. Click that subscribe button. It's that way on the mobile application if you're watching this on your smartphone or tablet. My name is Rob with Aloha Android. Thanks for checking out my video for today. And as always, you will see me in the next one, guys.